Across the board today? Is there anyone online?
No one online, Commissioner Hollingsworth.
All right. Then next we have the consent agenda. Are there any questions about the consent agenda?
No, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the consent agenda that includes Resolution 25-025, authorizing the county attorney to negotiate with Union Pacific Railroad Company relative to the acquisition of these portal cabins, and Resolution 25-026, adopting the list of official appointments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, the consent agenda is approved 3-0. Next, we have an update on the Floyd Hill project. As many of you know, this has been going on for, has it been a year now? I guess we'll find out. Over a year. And some of you may notice when you're driving on I-70.
Much longer than a year in planning and design, but construction is actually a year.
If you could please introduce yourself, and the microphone you have to have really, really close to speak into it. Let everyone know who you are.
Try and share my screen here. I have some good rock blasting videos, some recent rock blasting videos that'd be good to show here. So give me 1 second.
Well, I'll introduce myself. You get the presentation up. I am Tamara Rollison. I am the Region 1 Communications Manager. Region 1 covers the Denver metro area and the I-70 Mountain Corridor, in which the Floyd Hill project is going on, from C-470 to the Eisenhower Johnson Memorial Tunnel. The main CDOT communications director on this project is Stacia Sellers, and she has just become a mother. She just delivered her baby last week, so I'm filling in for her.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And I am Kirk Kianka. Thank you for having me back. I am the CDOT Floyd Hill project director. Appreciate the time today. Love talking about the Floyd Hill and provide an update today. I think that's the goal for us today, is provide an update of where we're at, and then where we're headed, impacts that you can that you will start to see on the project in the coming months. And so with that, get started here. So just to review the Floyd Hill project. So we've been under construction for a little over 18 months. We started in July of 2023. And we're delivering Floyd Hill in 3 primary sections: an east section, a central section, and a west section. We have all packages under construction right now. So if you drive through there, you will see a lot of construction activity. We've made a lot of progress on our east section. We were originally scheduled to have that complete a year from this summer. It's looking like we might be able to substantially wrap that up this summer, which is fantastic. Our west section is everything from Hidden Valley Central City Parkway to the west, to the first exit of Idaho Springs. That's been under construction since the fall of 2024, and the spring of 2024, excuse me, the west section, and making good progress on that. And then everything in between is our big central section. That's the heavy structures section that you see on some of our renderings that we have here. That's been in construction since last fall. And construction will carry to mid 2029, but we do have milestones in here, which is fantastic. So west section, which is going to be a big benefit, we will have that complete at the end of 2027. And then the eastbound, I-70 eastbound, will be at the end of 2028. And then because of temperature, paving windows, landscape establishment, different items that are weather dependent, we're going to push into 2029, including that frontage road connection, that new frontage road connection from the bottom of Floyd Hill to the Central City Parkway interchange. So what is the project purpose and need? And really, you see up on the screen, we have 4 main purpose and needs for the project, and it's to improve the travel time reliability, remove that bottleneck that exists today in the westbound direction for I-70, safety improvements and mobility improvements through here, replace the deficient infrastructure. Those bridges at the bottom of Floyd Hill, as we know, they are pretty rough shape, require lots of maintenance, especially lately with all of the temperature changes and freeze and thaw. We're out there addressing potholes. We were out there yesterday addressing potholes in the corridor, including on the bridge, improve multimodal connectivity with that improvements to the Greenway Trail south of Clear Creek, and then also provide that resiliency. And when I say resiliency, it's that alternate route if I-70 gets closed down, with that frontage road connection from the bottom of Floyd Hill connecting into County Road 314 for emergency services, or just another way to get through this area, because the detour right now, depending on where that is very lengthy. In fact, one alternate way is to go through Central City right out here. And so it's not easy. It's not easy as down in Denver, where you can get off and take a side street a lot of times. So just to recap, I know a lot of you guys have heard this before, but imagine there's some new faces. So talk about what are the elements of Floyd Hill. And one of the big elements of Floyd Hill is adding that third westbound lane from the top of Floyd Hill. You have the 3 lanes coming in the westbound direction. And then as you start going down Floyd Hill, that third lane drops into 2 lanes. So we're adding that third lane, which will be a full-time tolled express lane. And we're connecting that into the Mountain Express lane at the Veterans Memorial Tunnels. Now, the Mountain Express lane is that shoulder running lane that's only open during those peak travel times. The third lane on I-70 will be operated 24/7. It will have full standard shoulders, as well as the buffer, similar to what you see down in Denver on C-470, I-25, I-70 out east through there. Emergency response and resilience, talked about that, connecting that frontage road connection that doesn't exist today, provide a big benefit. So it's a 2-mile section. Once we get I-70 up out of the canyon, that opens up space to allow us to do that. Merge conditions in traffic flow by extending a new on-ramp from the bottom of Floyd Hill in the eastbound direction. So where the restaurant Two Bears is at the bottom of the hill, there'll be a new connection going east, but Floyd Hill is a very steep grade. It's a 7% grade. So if you're a big truck and you're loaded or even unloaded, you probably won't make it up to speed to merge safely into traffic. So we're carrying that lane all the way up to the top of the hill before and over the top of the hill, so trucks can get up to speed before merging into traffic. Really talked about the safety improvements in the traffic flow improvements as part of the project. So if you drive that stretch now, it's a windy section of I-70. The curves are actually rated for 45 miles an hour, even though nobody drives 45 miles an hour through there. And so we're bringing everything up to a 55-mile-an-hour standard. When I show some of the renderings here, you see the big sweeping curve at the bottom of the hill, as well as really straightening the stretch of I-70 out as you wind through the canyon through there. So those will be big benefits, standard shoulders, and improving what we call the sight distance, which is if you come around a corner and traffic stopped or something's in the road, you have time to process it and bring your car to a safe stop without hitting it. Also, the improvements to the Greenway Trail. So we're reconstructing that up to ADA standards throughout the stretch of I-70. It'll be 10 feet wide in concrete. So that'll be a big benefit. You know, right now it is closed due to construction, but during the summer months, we will provide a shuttle for people to get safely through construction, because we don't want anybody wandering on I-70 to try and get through this section of I-70. Enhancement for wildlife connectivity, air and water quality, and stream conditions and recreation. So we completed a project with a wildlife crossing at Genesee, which is fantastic. Wildlife is using it. I love seeing the videos of elk and bobcats and other little critters going through there and not making it on the highway. Part of that project, a lot of wildlife fencing was installed, as well as 4 miles of wildlife fencing through the stretch of Floyd Hill. And so this is alleviating those animal-wildlife or animal-vehicle conflicts. Especially Genesee was one of the highest areas for that in the I-70 mountain corridor. So we see a big improvement for that through there. We also installed 2 permanent air quality monitors, one upstream in Idaho Springs and one downstream at the eastern end of the project. So if anybody's curious about air and water quality near Floyd Hill, you can go to our website and look at air quality in real time. So now I have a rendering of the future of Floyd Hill. So to orient yourself, we have our backs towards Denver. We're descending down Floyd Hill here. You can see the future westbound 2 general purpose lanes that exist today, plus that full-time tolled express lane there on the right of the screen. On the left, you see the 3 general purpose lanes that exist today going back east to Denver, plus that 4th lane, which will be that extended on-ramp with that new connection at the bottom of Floyd Hill. So now as we make our way down to the bottom of Floyd Hill, you can see our long viaduct structure take off. You start seeing this go up here in the fall. Very excited to start progress on this big structure here. Talk about bringing everything up to a 55-mile-an-hour design speed. You see that big safety 55-mile-an-hour improvement for the curve for westbound. Interesting part of Floyd Hill, what we call braided eastbound and westbound I-70. So westbound goes over the top of eastbound I-70 there. You can see on the screen. And westbound I-70 at its highest point will be just over 100 feet up in the air. They're near the bottom of Floyd Hill. This structure is over a mile long. And then as we make our way through here, I-70 today hugs the mountain where you see the future frontage road connection. That's where I-70 is today. And so if you drive the section, you see a lot of work. We call this area the saddle cut. And so we're currently taking the mountain down. I have a rock blast video here in just a minute that will show how we are accomplishing that. Once we make our way here a little bit farther to the west, as we get closer to Central City Parkway, this is an old rendering. So the how Floyd Hill project and I-70 interfaces with Central City Parkway has changed. You see that hook ramp there, that is no longer part of the project. We have a roundabout that will be where the current 5-legged interchange is there on the north side of Central City Parkway in I-70. This is as we move to the west section, and we have our very large rock cut that we are doing a lot of rock blasting on. So it looks like concrete, but that's going to be a rock face there. Talked about some of the stream improvements once we get I-70 pushed a little bit farther into the mountain to achieve those 55-mile-an-hour curves. That opens up area for restoration along Clear Creek there, which is what you see with the trees and on the left side of the screen there. And then we make our way to the Veterans Memorial Tunnels here. And then right after the Veterans Memorial Tunnels, there will be a choice that you will make if you want to enter the Mountain Express lane, which is that shoulder running lane, or to merge back into traffic on I-70. So a couple before and afters here, just to show an understanding of what it's like today and what it'll look like in the future. On the left, you have Floyd Hill. We're midway down Floyd Hill looking back to the east. And what you see there is the future footprint of I-70. And this is our east section that we've made a lot of progress on. We've pushed traffic over to the west into the mountain. And now we're working in the median with drainage, grading, and barrier work coming up. Now we're going to turn 180 degrees and we're going to look back to the northwest. So down to the bottom of Floyd Hill. Right there where you see the kind of knob come out on the left side of the screen, that is where the future viaduct will take off. In fact, you can see that tree on the middle of the screen. That's right where I-70, the future of I-70 is going to go. So left is what it looks like today. Right is what it'll look like in the future. Now we're at the bottom of Floyd Hill. You can see on the left those aging bridges that they're actually out there working on in this picture. And then the future, the new structures that will replace those aging bridges for both eastbound and westbound I-70, as well as that new connection, the very bottom right of the screen for that new eastbound connection, as well as the existing westbound connection there to US 6. Now we're moving to the Saddle Cut area. This is what I-70 looks like today. You can see it kind of winds through the canyon. We're flattening that out, so it'll kind of be a straight shot through there. Moving a little bit farther to the west, this is our west section. So almost daily rock blast now to remove the mountain. Just for perspective, I always point out that transmission tower that you can see on both screens, and you can take on the right. When it steps down from that transmission tower, that's all the rock that we're removing on the project. We are removing over 500,000 cubic yards of rock as part of the Floyd Hill project, which is a lot. So we understand the importance of I-70 and what it means to Colorado, the nation, to the different communities that use I-70 every day. And we are committed to keeping all lanes and ramps of I-70 open during peak times. We know that the peak times change based on ski season, based on summer recreation. And so we vary when we work based on those high volumes of traffic. What you'll see is when we need to take, generally when we need to take lanes and close lanes, we do that overnight. We do a lot of work behind barrier. If you drive through the stretch now, you'll see narrowed lanes, narrowed shoulders. That opens up space so that we can work during the day. Behind barrier, a lot of the complex work doesn't involve traffic. In fact, when you see that big structure start going up here in the fall, we're going to be building that over live traffic. So we have redundancy, we have scaffolding should anything fall, but we're going to build over traffic to complete the project so that we can keep traffic opening. And that's, if there's a takeaway from this, I really want to highlight that, you know, we're trying to limit the impacts to traffic as much as possible. We have emergency pull-offs throughout there, so vehicles, trucks that are having trouble have a place to go to safely get out of traffic. We're coordinating with area projects, including the Peaks to Plains Trail. I know there's a meeting going on right now with Silver Dollar Metro District because the Peaks to Plains Trail project has some closures coming up for the US 6 Canyon. And so we're making sure that we're not having simultaneous closures so that there is still ways in and out of the community up here. So we are closely coordinating that. We're closely coordinating with first responders, have some rock blasting slides here. We call dispatch before we have a rock blast. In a lot of times, in fact, even once last week, they say, nope, hold the blast. We have a emergency ambulance coming through. And so we wait until the ambulance gets through before we do our traffic hold for a rock blast. We're also promoting the use of transit and carpool options to reduce single occupancy vehicles as part of the project. Pegasus is a great thing to highlight. That's a smaller shuttle van that can drive in the Mountain Express lane. If you don't want to struggle through traffic, went up skiing last Friday. It took over 3 hours, and I think I would have rather just sat on my phone in a bus for that. So we like highlighting that to just try and reduce traffic through here. So what are the general traffic impacts associated with the Floyd Hill project? Overnight closures, we haven't had a lot in the winter, but those will certainly start again in the summer when work starts getting a little heavier. One of the things that you see almost daily, Monday through Thursday, sometimes on Friday, we have 20-minute traffic holds as part of our rock blasting. Depending on the time of day, sometimes it'll take up to 45 minutes to clear. Argo get intentionally stuck in there and try and be one of the first vehicles or somewhere in there to be the worst case scenario. It is most days much, much less than that. Essentially, traffic is rolled to a stop and make sure that road's clear. They hit the button, the rock blast happens. So a lot of times that's less than 20 minutes and then traffic clears generally quicker than that. Again, the narrow lanes and shoulders through there, and we also have reduced the speed limit to 45 miles an hour to keep traffic safe through there, as well as construction workers, because you do see those trucks entering and exiting through the work zone. So what can you expect in Q1 of 2025? East section has been pushed to the outside. We're currently working in the median, so you'll see a lot of work in the median with grading, some drainage work, a wall that's little wall that's gonna go up in there, and then barrier work through there. Our central section, so you see a minor traffic shift on the west end of the central section here coming up. And then rock blasting will continue. The picture that you see on the right there is the excavation for the saddle cut, where I-70 is going through there. So that's very active right now. We're also have some blasting in the median. We're trying to open up the median to push traffic into the median here this summer so we can open up areas for that big structure to start construction in the summer and in the fall. Hillside, so that's everything on US 40, in between US 40 and I-70 as you go up Floyd Hill. So see a lot of work through there. Trucks going in and out. We're building an access road to make it so we can start getting to the foundations of the large bridge structure that will be going up. West section, blasting will continue. You start to really see a lot of work at the top of that cut. Recently, a lot of the work in the blasting has really been opening up space at the bottom of the cut. Well, I believe this next week, a lot of equipment will be up there. We'll start drilling and then start really production blasting near that transmission tower, and you'll start seeing the mountain come down here in the coming months. So then Q2, April to June, or April through June, I guess I should say, east section, start seeing a lot of work in the east section to really get that in a good spot. Hopefully some paving will start here this summer to get that in a point where it is wrapped up this year. Central sections, early summer, start seeing those major traffic shifts. So start pushing, working the median right now. Eastbound I-70 will be pushed into where the median is today to open up that area for work for the foundations of that structure. As we start getting into summer, construction starts getting a little heavier just with the nice weather. So you start seeing more equipment on the project, probably 5 to 6 cranes out on the project. Temporary bridge will be going up over Clear Creek. That will provide construction access for equipment getting in and out of there, and then blasting will continue as part of the project. Q2 west section, blasting will continue. You start really seeing that mountain come down 200 feet up, and over the course of the coming months, yeah, it'll start hopefully seeing a lot of progress up there. So equipment 200 feet up in the air as you drive through there. Then, I missed Q3. Yep. So Q3 east section will be wrapping up median work. We'll hopefully be putting the final touches for substantial completion on the east section, place eastbound or the east section in final alignment. That'll be great. We've been fighting a lot of the pavement conditions through there, so it'll be great to have that on new pavement. Central section, sound like a broken record, but blasting will continue throughout the year. Bridge construction will really start to become evident. If everything goes to plan, we're going to really start foundations of that bridge structure in May and June, and then you'll start seeing the columns go up, and then start to really seeing construction on the bridge here in the fall. 80-foot columns along I-70 will be going up. Excited for that. I think it's going to start looking pretty cool through there. West section, blasting will continue. We will also be in a position where we can start westbound bridge demolition. We have placed traffic on westbound I-70 on a temporary bridge over Clear Creek, just west of Central City Parkway. So that opens up the area to start demoing the old westbound bridge through there. And then looking to start construction on the interchange of Central City Parkway and I-70. So start construction of that roundabout here in Q3 or Q4. So fall, winter of this year, you'll start seeing that. And then Q4, hopefully we have eastbound, the east section in final alignment. That'll be a big improvement through there. Says here, prepare for segmental bridge construction. So the segmental bridge construction is that bridge construction I mentioned over live traffic. through there. So start seeing that over the winter. See this big form up in the air, and that'll slowly start to move. It's a very interesting method for construction. Some of these spans at the bottom of the hill are over 300 feet, 350 feet. And so we cannot get a bridge girder on a truck up here to span that. So we have to build that in place. So cast it in place, and you see it as we go, and it's a balanced cantilever. So a pier will go up, and you start seeing these sections 15 feet, and then we're going to connect it perfectly in the middle. So big engineering challenge, but it's going to be very cool here over this next year. River work, once we get to low flow season here this fall, we need to start opening up areas where we can put foundations very close to the creek. And so you see that over the winter. Rock blasting will continue in both the central and west sections, and then roundabout construction at Hidden Valley here over the winter. Oh, we'll go back one. So talked about the rock blasting. We've completed, I believe, about 40 rock blasts. We have over 200 to complete the project. So you can expect that through the end of 2026. So we still have lots of rock blasting to do. You know, those 20-minute traffic holds during those off-peak times, which is 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then 9 a.m. to noon on Fridays, because we really see traffic start to pick up on Friday afternoons. Can expect some delays, really want to push, and Tamara's going to talk about it. Sign up for our text alerts. We text when we're rock blasting. You can avoid the area if you can, or try and plan your drive a little bit sooner. As part of rock blasting, sometimes we need to do some rock scaling. So if some loose rocks get opened up because of rock blasting, we have to get in there and knock those off the mountains. So those might be necessary following a rock blast. So yeah, see those holds continue here at the bottom of the screen there. It's a little hard to see on the Zoom, but there is a text. You can text Floyd Hill to 21,000 for our rock blasting text alerts. We're trying not to spam you, but it's a great tool to use. So here is a rock blast in our west section. And then we have a rock, oh, this is a rock blast for our saddle cut. This is a much larger rock blast. I believe this is about 8,000 pounds of explosives used. So that's to take the mountainside down. And you can just see how much the rock swells up. Essentially, a bunch of holes are drilled about 20 feet down, and then they're loaded. And then the blast is fired, and then we go and excavate it.
About how long does it take to set that up?
So generally speaking, the holes are drilled the day before, and then the powder is placed the morning of, and then the blast happens, and then it's excavated, and then it's kind of a cycle. They move to another area, drill, rock blast. So about every other day, a rock blast in here, and then same with the west section.
Oh.
So just really quick, highlight some of the achievements that we've had in 2024. East section, we've completed all the rock blasting and scaling in the east section. We began rock blasting in our central and west sections. So it says 17 blasts here. We've completed a lot more than that now that we're 2 months into 2025. We've installed over 5,600 linear feet of drainage pipe as part of the project. If you drive up there, I love highlighting them. I think they came out great. We've completed 73,000 square feet of sculpted shotcrete retaining walls. They look a lot like rock through there, and I think they came out great. It's amazing what one guy with a trowel can do to concrete through there. We've installed 2 miles each direction, so 4 miles total of deer fencing along this corridor of I-70. We've constructed 5.5 miles of permanent roadway through here. So a lot, if you drive up Floyd Hill now in the eastbound direction, you're driving on new pavement, which is great. We've implemented an on-demand courtesy shuttle in the summer months for the closure of the Greenway Trail through there. So we've had over 650 people utilize that, because we know that there's people biking across the country and people that use that section of the Greenway Trail. So great things, more to come. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tamara to talk about communication as part of the project.
Good morning, everyone. We have a multi-channel communications machine on this project. I like to describe this project as a major construction going on in the middle of a New Year's Eve party. So we are having to build this monumental project in very heavy traffic, and critical to that, to ensure that we have a safe delivery of this project, is good communications. We have many ways in which we get information out, and we also have many ways in which you can communicate with us. Some of those tools are, we have a website on codot.gov. We also have e-blasts. We send those out on a regular basis, at least weekly, to keep you informed of what's going on. We have a project hotline and an email inbox so that folks can call us to find out what's going on for that week. They can leave a message. We will get back to you. And if you want to leave comments, concerns, anything like that, you can email us directly. We have a communications team that will respond to your concerns immediately. We also leverage social media. We use our Facebook, Instagram, X, our Nextdoor as well too, to inform motorists and the public of what is going on a weekly basis and what the impacts will be. Text alerts, our text alert system has been extremely successful because as Kurt has mentioned, you can sign up for that and you can get real-time information on what's going on with the rock blasts in particular. So that has proved to be very helpful, and we do encourage you and your constituents to sign up for those. We also have meetings such as the one today. And if you ever want to learn more about this at other meetings, just let us know. Reach out to our team, because we would absolutely love to give you an update on what is going on with this project and address any concerns that you have. We also have events. We attend many of the events within the community to let people know what's going on with the project and also the latest updates. We give presentations such as the one today, and we certainly love to get out in the community and give presentations should there be some opportunities, or should you feel that there is a need for a particular group that needs a presentation and needs to be updated on this project. We also have cotrip.org, which is our traffic information. We have an app for that, as well as a website for it. You can go to cotrip.org and you can find out what the real-time road conditions are, which is a very important tool to have. I use it all the time myself when I travel, to find out what the road conditions are like on I-70. We also we partner very closely with elected officials such as yourself, so that you're in the know of what's going on. And probably our most effective communications tool is our electronic message board signs. We call them variable message board signs, and those are incredibly helpful because we are targeting our key audience, and those are the motorists who are traveling along the I-70 mountain corridor. And then here are all the ways in which you can reach us. As I said, you can sign up for our text messaging service. You can visit our project website. You can leave a voicemail, or you can go to cotrip.org. Those are some of the ways in which we communicate with you and in which you can communicate with us. Yeah.
Thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. One thing, you mentioned the closures that'll be coming up. What are the hours on those?
Are you
during
talking
the
about
summer?
the US 6 closures, or related to Floyd Hill?
Floyd Hill.
So closures generally are lane closures, and so those are overnight. So we keep one lane open both directions of I-70, and we do that during the off-peak hours. We really don't see traffic back up much. That being said, we do have to remove a sign structure at the bottom of Floyd Hill right before US 6, and we're trying to determine the best way to do that. It's in a very hard area because the detour is not easy. It's essentially up 103 and back down. And so we think we can do it in a place where we might have an overnight hold of traffic for 20, 30 minutes to avoid that. But generally speaking, we don't foresee any major closures of I-70 in the foreseeable future, full closures. It'll just be lane closures.
Oh,
Thank you. I wanted to thank you both for being here and giving an update, and looks like you're making progress. I think that people always wonder the impacts to wildlife and recreationalists, so there are some. Are you getting comments from the public about any concerns, inconveniences?
You know, generally speaking, which I love to highlight, we get comments back that this is not as bad as folks were expecting. And I appreciate those. You know, we get the occasional complaint. One of the things that I do want to highlight is our CSS process, that we have representatives from the communities up here, from the recreation community, rafting, fishing, biking, and we get feedback from them, and they reach out to the community, including property owners on the mountain adjacent to the property, and love getting that feedback depending on what it is. And I think one thing to really highlight on that is the bike community. We got lots of feedback, and we've worked through our stakeholders to implement our courtesy shuttle, and what is the best way for that to look, in different signage through there so that folks know what to do when they get to Floyd Hill. And so that's one of the highlights, that, you know, the way we're delivering Floyd Hill with stakeholder involvement, in my opinion, has alleviated a lot of the complaints that we get from the public, other than the one-offs of getting caught in a blasting closure. But generally speaking, we've gotten positive feedback, which is great for me.
One thing I would like to add as an early project was the wildlife crossing at Genesee. And we have cameras and wildlife. They are using that crossing. And we do expect, as a result of that crossing, it will reduce wildlife vehicle collisions by 90%. So we are seeing some benefits already with the wildlife transportation system that we have built as part of the early phase of this project.
Any other comment or question?
You mentioned all the rock, tons and tons. What? Now I know Kramer has right now they have a deal with Bob Young to take some of their rock up there. Is that, so when you were talking about all the tonnage, is that still going to be going up to the Young Ranch, or do you have another place where that's going to go, or?
Yes and yes. So yes, I believe Kramer does have an agreement in place with Bob Young. I believe some of it's going up Central City Parkway, and then I believe some of it's also going next to Central City Parkway up over the hill. And that's a significant portion of it, but there is also offsite to different areas in the I-70 corridor as well. So lots of different places taking the rock excavation on the project, including west on I-70. I believe there was a place, and then El Rancho, I believe, had some. So yeah, different areas.
Do you have any future configuration of the entrance to the parkway, or the roundabout that's
We're
gonna be there?
trying to get a great rendering in place for that. I have a very technical drawing of it's essentially an AutoCAD drawing of it, but if you can imagine, it's a roundabout. It's a 5-legged roundabout in the future, with that new frontage road connection coming in where that existing bridge to the maintenance facility, and I believe there's a business there as well. And then coming off of the highway as well. It's a very large roundabouts because we know that there's trucks that go through there. So we design it for the full semi truck and trailer, that they can make that turn safely through there. And then one of the things that we're working through with our stakeholder team is what that looks like in the middle of the roundabout, because there's an opportunity there very similar to if you drive and get off at 103, that first exit of Idaho Springs. There's some artwork, I believe a mining cart and some other things in there. And so we're working to figure out what that might look like. So hopefully if I come back again or have a good rendering for you in the future.
So would there be a point where the parkway is closed or
No, you know,
one lane maybe, or?
I say that, you know, we need to make sure that we continue to provide access because that's one of the few ways in and out of Central City. And so that being said, we might have some ramp closures with a detour provided in the future, but no, we do not plan on providing or in closing Central City Parkway for an extended duration of time.
Okay.
Will the exit, the Hidden Valley exit be moved any or stay pretty much in its current location?
Generally speaking, it will stay in its current location. Really, the bulk of the work is at the actual interchange itself or at the intersection itself that
Mhm.
exists there today. And I believe it'll be a significant improvement in the future, having a roundabout there. Yeah.
Okay.
But you get off at the same place. In fact, as part of our stakeholder team, we've had some fly-through renderings where we looked at the improvements to that interchange because you're actually coming down at an angle and so you see it. And I think it'll be a little bit more prominent in the future.
Because it is once you get, unless you're familiar with it, it is kind of hard to see
Yeah, you come
where you're
around that
going down
corner.
and then how to turn.
Yep.
I know I had worked for the city and there were some comments about from people who weren't as real familiar with it, kind of getting a little lost or confused as to where to go.
Yes, that's
That's good. Thank you.
a great point, Commissioner.
Thank you. I just, you had mentioned the Highway 6 closures, just so the public knows our first responders and some of the local business owners, including some casino owners, have met and are meeting about the timing of the Highway 6 closures to reduce impacts to people going through. And I'm glad to hear, which of course you do, that first responders, especially ambulances and our law enforcement, get priority to pass through when they need to. And that will be the same with Highway 6. So we'll hear more about that closure plan when that's in place. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Take care. I do have a question on our agenda. We do have a public hearing set for 9:30 or so, and it's 9:43. But I've also heard from two people that were trying to make public comment and they couldn't unmute. Would you like to do the hearing? Because it sounds like it may not. Are you going to continue, suggest continuing? Would you like to do that next? Or should I let the public comment happen?
It's really up to you, Commissioner. As to your preference.
Is there anyone here about the public hearing or in the room? Okay. How about if I take the public comment? There were two people, if they're still online, they just couldn't unmute. So let's see, one is Lauren Duncan. She's still on. We also have public comment towards the end of the meeting. You see.
If anyone would like to speak, if they could raise their hand, I have a Ray Ortner.
All right, I heard from Lauren first. She couldn't unmute. So if she's not there, then
Yeah, I will
give her the chance.
unmute.
And then move on to Rhea.
Okay.
Rhea, are you able to unmute?
Can you hear me?
Yes. And
Okay.
please say your name and also there's a 3-minute limit. Thank you.
Yeah, before I start, I just want to say there was a problem with the audio in the beginning of the meeting, and so I didn't hear that I was supposed to raise my hand and that you were calling on people. So I think that in the future that would be great to resolve those audio issues for people that are joining by Zoom. Thank you so much for moving me up in the agenda. My name is Rhea Ortner-Robel, 369 Lower Moon Gulch Road. Dear Commissioners, I am a member of the Gilpin County Planning Commission. However, the views I express here are my own. I would like to address the idea of term limits recently proposed for the Gilpin County Planning Commission. Term limits for the Planning Commission, even with a gap year, which is currently proposed, is frankly a bad idea, and here's why. Loss of institutional knowledge. A forced gap year disrupts continuity, potentially leading to the loss of experienced members who have a deep knowledge of ongoing projects and local planning policies. It really discourages experienced members from returning. Most likely, long-term members will choose not to reapply even after a gap year, leading to unnecessary turnover and the loss of dedicated individuals. And frankly, it's complicated. If a longstanding member does decide to reapply after a gap year, it puts unnecessary tension within the board on who should go and who should stay. It disrupts team cohesion. Regularly rotating members in and out can weaken working relationships and make collaboration less effective. And Gilpin County has a small population base, and it may be difficult to recruit new members with Gilpin County's small population. By forcing out experienced members, you're just increasing turnover and the efficacy of the board. What problems are you trying to fix? The reappointment process. Yes, the current reappointment process can and should be improved with HR directed approved questions and improving the way the Planning Commission recommends new members to you all. By regularly reviewing the Planning Commission members every 3 years through the reappointment process, there's ample opportunity to have turnover and quote unquote reject those members that may not be up to performance standards. There is no problem with stagnation on the board as it stands. Of the 9 board members currently serving, only about 30% have remained long-term. In conclusion, I fear by the imposing term limits, even with a gap year, it will lead to the unnecessary loss of experienced members who provide essential institutional knowledge, continuity, and expertise that are difficult to replace in a limited talent pool. Smaller communities such as Gilpin often have fewer qualified or willing individuals to serve, meaning term limits will force out dedicated members without readily available replacements. Additionally, long-serving board members develop strong relationships with stakeholders, understand the historical context of local issues,
30
and
seconds.
contribute to stable, informed decision-making. There has been fairly high staff turnover, and it's helpful to have staff be able to rely on long-standing PC members. Rather than having term limits, even with a gap year, the reappointment process ensures accountability and prevents stagnation. All we need is a tune-up. We don't need to replace what's already working. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhea. Next on our agenda, then we have the public hearing. You want to come up? I guess I should do the whole hearing process? Okay, all right. So I'm moving this up because of the time. So the time is 9:49. We do have a public hearing. This is a adjustment, and Rob Gutierrez, our community development director.
I'm sorry, I
is
have a point of
presenting.
clarification. Don't we need to recess our Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of Adjustment?
Yeah, if we, are we going to do the whole hearing
Yes,
process?
we need to.
Okay, yes, then go ahead.
I move that we recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Board of Adjustment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So now we will start the public hearing. It's 9:49. And this is a public hearing on resolution BOA 25-2, and presenting is Rob Gutierrez, our community development director.
Good morning.
Morning.
The staff are requesting a continuance of this public hearing to March 25th at 9:30 a.m. on the guidance of County Attorney Messenger. And we don't have any other staff comments at this point in time.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's anybody here that is seeking to make public comment. I don't think anybody's signed in, but
Mhm.
obviously it's up to you if you want to choose to take any public comment for anybody
Okay.
online or here in person.
Okay, do you recommend I just go through the full process?
In terms of that.
Public. Don't have
Your
public
mic.
comment, then have the usual hearing process.
I think that the county commission can take a motion to continue now to a date certain, and then reopen the public hearing at that point.
Okay. So we're going to bypass the usual process. And with the recommendation from the county attorney, concurred with the community development director, I'd entertain a motion to continue this to March 25th. Did you want to elaborate on the circumstances for the continuance? Is it just need more time to?
Yeah, we didn't do a mailed notice and a posted notice. We only did the newspaper.
Okay.
So in this last week, we have re-noticed in the paper for the 25th. We have one posted notice near the property, and then we did send out the letters. So just to clarify the missed notice on the original hearing date.
Thank you for explaining the reasoning. I will entertain a motion to continue.
Okay, move to continue the public hearing on the resolution BOA 25.2 till March 25th, 2025.
And I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
So a point of clarification, that's at 9:30 or later in these chambers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Given no more business on that matter, I'll entertain a motion to recess and reconvene.
I'd like to move that we recess as the Board of Adjustment and reconvene as Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. All right, we're sitting back as a Board of County Commissioners. Moving back up our agenda, next we have the Timberline Fire Intergovernmental Agreement termination. And is Chief Founder presenting?
So unfortunately, he's not able to attend.
Okay.
So I asked Director Gutierrez to present or discuss the letter sent by Timberline. There is no action required of the board, but this is really just informational, but Director Gutierrez can provide more context.
Yeah, so, with some changes in state law, fire districts have a bit more authority to implement impact fees on their own accord and collect them. And we've kind of been looking forward to this change so that Timberline takes on this role and our department no longer has to administer taking the impact fee. So this would be great. We are anticipating that we would like to start working on a new IGA that kind of clarifies Timberline's role in the permitting process and as the fire code official into the future. That kind of occurs now in an informal way, but we'd like to just clarify what their roles and responsibilities are in the permitting process. So hopefully in the next few months, we will be back before you with something like that.
Will that be before the March 31st implementation of this?
No, I don't believe so.
Are we okay operating without an IGA in place?
Yeah, it's how we've been operating up to this point. I think we may need a little more than 4 weeks to kind of work through the potential of outlining that agreement. But we've only just had a brief informal discussion with the manager about that, nothing at length yet.
Right. Are there any other comments or questions? Commissioners?
No, at this point, the process seems pretty clear.
Mhm. So this will be a bit reflected in our budget. There won't be money in, money out.
Yeah, I don't think because of the way the account is set up, we don't budget for the funds, but it does show up when people are paying permits. And so often I think it's misconstrued as a county fee on the
Correct.
permit, but we hold it for a quarter and then it's dispersed to Timberline directly. We kind of do the same with CDPHE for the $20 fee on septic system permits. So it's kind of like money that comes in, we hold it, and then we disperse it to who it belongs to
Right.
on a quarterly basis.
Motion? I move to make a motion to mutually terminate intergovernmental agreement between Gilpin County and Timberline Fire Protection District for the assessment, collection, and remittance of Timberline Fire Protection District impact fees effective March 31st, 2025.
So a point of clarification, no action from the board is needed. The letter itself effectively terminates the agreement from Timberline. This is information.
We accept the letter and the termination, even though there's no date on the letter, but that's okay. It explains it in there. All right. Okay, anything else on that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next on our agenda, we have Resolution 25-0 And today we have Parks and Recreation Director Gabriel Chisholm and Under Sheriff Greg Demo presenting. Hello.
So the Office of Emergency Management continues to work on emergency planning. One aspect has been the improvement of our shelter operations. Gilpin County currently has one approved shelter, which is the Gilpin County School. Identifying the potential impacts to our Gilpin County students and school operations, it was quickly identified that we need to have an alternate location. So we figured that the Gilpin County Rec Center was a very plausible location. So Director Chisholm engaged in conversations with the Red Cross and had a site visit, had the site approved, and we received the contract. Once legal went through the contract, made some adjustments and got approval from what they wanted with Red Cross. We received it back. So once this contract is approved, this will be just one further step in improving our shelter operations. We hope to continue work with gaining backup power for the rec center building in the future, as well as starting a volunteer group for staffing shelter operations with citizens within Gilpin County, rather than totally relying on outside sources. And the last part is I'm currently in talks with Red Cross preparing shelter operations for our potential large snow events, where we would actually establish the shelter operations before the event rather than during it.
All right, and the recreation center has been used periodically. Is this just making an official Red Cross sanctioned location? Is that the difference? This contract?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And then they would have volunteers come up and can run the shelter instead of staff or we get our own volunteers, that type of thing.
Right, right, great. Are there any questions or comments on this?
No, is there, for the backup power, is there a timeframe that we're looking at that we need to get that accomplished?
I was actually gonna have a conversation with Manager Rears, Commissioner. I believe during our budget sessions, we did discuss some backup power options, and I'll continue those talks and make the board aware where we're currently at.
I know we had approved the portable, $30,000 portable generator.
And
Is
that's
that-
my recollection,
Yes,
Commissioner,
It's in the budget.
Right.
But
Yes.
obviously I'll have to work with Ryan, Gabrielle, and to put those things in place and to figure out purchasing and working with other partners within the county government.
Sure, okay. All right.
How much power does that portable thing have? I mean, can it keep like the rec center running, or it's a sheriff's department, the jail and everything went down? Would it be able to keep that facility in operation?
So the current operation at the Justice Center has its own generator.
Okay,
And in this year's budget is a generator replacement project. The power coming out of the building over at the Justice Center is not connected at all to the complex over at the
Yeah.
community center. So we're looking at an additional apparatus for specifically the rec center. And I don't have the specifications, Commissioner, on what would be needed to properly and adequately provide supplement power to the building. That's a question that our facilities would be better equipped to answer for you.
Okay.
And I didn't know about the portable one, so I think, yeah, that's great. So we just got to figure out how much that can power for the community center.
Mhm. I did have one question. Maybe this is for the attorney. It mentions that the person signing is referred to as the owner. So is that the proper term? And it wasn't clear who would be signing it as the owner of the Gilpin County Community Center, but it looks like Gabriel's listed as the point of contact. Who are you recommending sign this, since it is a contract?
Yeah, I think generally the Red Cross form, sorry. I think generally the Red Cross form contract refers to the facility owner, in this case, the county as owner. And so I wouldn't really worry about the nomenclature there. It just says facility owner. And I assume the county being the facility owner makes that.
Okay, so who do you recommend signs on
I
page
see.
4 of the agreement?
I
Can you-
think that if the board approves this, the board could authorize Manager Rears to sign the contract. would be
And not
appropriate.
the board?
Or if the chair, ma'am, if you wanted to sign it, it wouldn't really matter. I mean, this contract doesn't fall within some purchasing requirement that would require anything. It's actually not requiring the county to invest much in the way of actual funds. The county would have to keep the facility open, which would have some certain costs to it, but
Correct.
you know, that's why we built in the Tabor clause, and that's why we built in, you know, the other aspects of this agreement to cover the county in that regard.
So the reason why this is coming before you is that all the real estate, all the assets of the county belong ultimately and at the discretion of the Board of County Commissioners. So this is why it's coming before you to ensure that you provide consent,
Right.
unless you delegate that consent to someone else.
Okay, I was glad to see there was a shared custodial part.
Mm.
So it's not all left to the custodian there. Okay, I'm comfortable with the county manager signing it. Do either of you feel otherwise?
No, that's fine. He's representative as the county,
Right,
of the county as a whole, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. So I'm ready for the motion, if you just want to add that in, that we're having the county manager sign.
Okay, I'll move that we adopt resolution 25-016, authorizing the execution of the facility use agreement with the American Red Cross, and to have the county manager as the signer for the county.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you, guys.
setting that all up.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It'll be
job,
good to
you.
have the Red
Sure.
Cross
Thank you.
support.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next on our agenda, we have a license change with ownership for a liquor license. Oh, we have Sharon Kate presenting.
We're going to.
We do need
Yeah.
to recess and convene as the local liquor licensing authority, if I have a motion.
Move to recess the commissioners meeting and reconvene as the local liquor licensing authority.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good
Welcome.
mo- Good Good morning, Commissioners.
This
This is
Clerk and Recorder Sahari McCormick is not in the office today. so
She's
please-
actually online. She's speaking.
I am on Zoom.
Oh, thank you, Sahari.
Do you want to present, Sharon, or do you want me?
That is up to you.
Okay, I'll just do it. Today we're here to present the liquor license application for Toss Woodfire Eatery LLC. Back on December 10th, the LLLA heard the license correction and premise modification applications for Toss with Cole Johnson. Today, we're presenting the paperwork for change of entity structure to establish Reed Sullivan as the new manager of Toss. The application is complete and ready to be submitted to the state. CBI and FBI have confirmed that his background check is clear. All fees have been paid, and I am recommending approval of the liquor license application change of management. Reed, as well as Krista and oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name. Chris are online in case you have any questions for them.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
No, so it's just the manager change, correct? What it looks like.
Not owner. I misspoke and said owner, but it's just management change.
Correct.
Any questions or comments? I don't have any either. I'm glad they're continuing to be open. That's great.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And this is a very simple, just a paperwork change, really.
All
But we're
right.
happy to have Reed taken over.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve this.
I move that we approve the management change for Toss Pizza or Toss Wood Fired Eatery LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm
Passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I gain signatures right now?
Sure. Yes.
Thank you, commissioners.
I'll entertain a motion to reconvene as the board.
I move that we recess as the local liquor licensing authority and reconvene as Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are back as the Board of Commissioners. I'll just sign this quickly. Sharon can move on. Just that one. Oh. Great. Congratulations to Toss.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have the county attorney's report with County Attorney Todd Messenger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since our last meeting, we've been reviewing a number of contracts, including the Colorado Information Sharing Consortium IGA with the Sheriff's Office, 2 agreements with regard to the site plan and the United States Forest Service Communications Use Lease for the Dakota Hill site, and the Legislative Services Agreement with Policy Matters that was brought to the board's attention last time. We've also provided legal advice and research relative to the on-site wastewater treatment system enforcement case, a variety of different land use matters, and then there are additional litigation and other matters that are subject to the attorney-client privilege. We also continue to coordinate with other firms on ongoing legal matters. And that's our report. Happy to answer any questions.
You have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Any questions for you?
Nope.
Right. Thank you so much. Next on our agenda, we have the county manager's report with County Manager Ray Rears.
Thank you, Commissioner. So you have my written report in front of you. I'll talk about some highlights here. So we do have a work session scheduled for later today at 11:30 to revisit the final mission values and goals so that we can clean those up once the board is clear with them, and then share that with the public and staff. There was also an addition yesterday morning for the human services funding, potential funding changes as well. The next regular work session is March 4th, and that is the gaming funding to support law enforcement activities, drug-affected properties through public health, and then a broadband update, a draft letter for your discussion and consideration. You can see the other tentative work session dates there listed. One area of note is that the COOP plan was supposed to be discussed in March, has been pushed back to September, since we still do not have anyone in the Office of Emergency Management that we need to have in place to help everyone with those COOP plans. Lobbyists, I believe that contract is going to be signed by the lobbyists and returned this morning, so we should have it completed. We've established a time at 1 o'clock for future regular meetings where they will join us virtually. And so there can be a discussion regarding any of the legislative items moving forward. We're going to treat it similar to a public hearing. So we're going to put it on the agenda at 1 o'clock. And so that everyone's aware of kind of the time of when that would come up for future regular meetings. Rudolph Ranch Homestead Working Group. So the solicitation for interest has been sent out. The deadline is the end of March. So if you know anyone interested, please have them send the information. We will be compiling all of that and then sharing that with the board after that date. So probably the first meeting in April to confirm who will be on that working group. Broadband discussion again will be on the 4th. I, as well as I know the board and a number of community members attended the second annual meeting for the CCEDC. So thank you for your participation on that. Looking forward to the resiliency group, the working group to move some of those areas forward over the next year. Zoning update, there's been some questions about some elements in the zoning code. Wanted to ensure that the board knows that after speaking with community development, they're looking at bringing forward the zoning updates approximately in August. If you have any specific questions, please let me know, but that is the time frame for the zoning code updates. I will be in a conference for the remainder of the week. I will be available if you need to contact me, but I will be in Denver tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. From the work session discussion regarding the vacation, personal time and holiday, that has been shared with senior leadership. Any comments I will definitely share with the board. I've also sent out an email to the city managers requesting the joint meeting. I'm asking for Central City's manager or Central City broadly to let us know in a date that would work for them in the evening on the Tuesday. And then once I have confirmation of that, I will share that date with the board. And so we will get that scheduled and get that on everyone's calendar moving forward. The idea is that there will be a presentation from our community development director regarding the housing needs assessment. So that will be kind of the kickoff meeting now that that's been completed, and what other topics either Central City or you, the board, wants to discuss. Stay tuned for that. Title work for parcel has been ordered. That likely will be on the March date for formal consideration. The community annex or the food pantry, we received a total of 7 proposals. We've had the initial review. There's going to be an interview of the top firms next week, and then we'll be coming to the board for consideration in March, likely the March 25th date. And I know the board's aware of this, but it's good for the public to be aware that our finance director, Joe Allaire, has resigned. His last day is March 6th, and Jamie Boyle will be acting as the interim finance director starting March 10th. So in the packet, I included the press release, so you can see that directly. This has obviously been shared widely. The letter regarding the drone donation to the sheriff's office, and then with the broad concerns, questions about federal funding and the impacts locally. There's been a focus on trying to determine how much of the grant funding is federal funding. And so we're looking at some preliminary numbers. These are very preliminary numbers, but I just wanted you to kind of keep abreast of where that is currently. This really does exclude human services, but we are at this early stage looking at the total federal amount outstanding somewhere in the neighborhood of $830,000. There's been no indication that's been pulled currently, but we're just trying to monitor the federal funding that's passed through to Gilpin County. So that's my report at a high level, and I stand for any questions you may have.
Any questions or comments for County Manager Rears?
Let's see. No, none at this time. Thank you.
I have none at this time.
I know the it's good to be, that we're all aware that the federal and state funds could be reduced, and in our statewide commissioner meetings, we hear this, then that, maybe this, maybe that. So there's a lot of waiting to see what we decided. But we do know that there could be some bleak cuts in the future. All right, thank you very much. Yeah. Next on our agenda, we have another opportunity for public or press comment. Any comment from the press? Anyone in the public wish to speak?
We do have a comment online.
All
Marie Mornis.
right, okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, welcome.
Yes, this is Marie Mornis, 108 Fox Road, Gilpin County. I'd like to make a note that the audio was not working in the beginning of the meeting. And unfortunately, I did have a comment that I wanted to say for the consent agenda. I do disagree with having resolution 25-025 on the consent agenda. The resolution to have the attorney look at receiving or purchasing the East Portal cabins, I think should be have public discussion, because there's a possibility of cost associated with that. Even if the properties are given to Gilpin County, there's a cost of renovation. I think the estimate is over $135,000 at this point in time. The additional work that has been done on mitigating the minerals in the ground and the cost of that. So I don't believe these types of issues that have the potential to cost the citizens of Gilpin County not be on a consent agenda. And that's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to reply to that? Just
Generally, I'd like not to comment.
only because we, just so the public's aware, we had a work session and went through all the possibilities and numbers, and that was open to the public. What day did we do that?
February 11th, I believe.
February 11th. All right.
And there is no one else raising their hand to speak,
All
Commissioner
right.
Hollingsworth.
Great. Thank you for your comment anyway. Thank you. Next on our agenda, we have legislative updates. This is a time where each commissioner can bring forward any bills that are in play that you would like us to entertain taking a position on, or at least monitoring. Do you have any you would like to bring forward?
I was looking at House Bill 25-1099. It was the water quality data reporting. There was some debate at the steering commission on whether, a debate between using the older tests and juxtaposed with the new testing. And I think the testing of the water quality is essential. So I think I would want to support that we, allow the new testing data and keeping the old testing data as a, as some kind of data on the, they can show us where we came from 5-10 years ago. That was one of the bills I was on. And House Bill 1237, the soft closing of alcohol at new places of construction. This was a thing I was against a long time ago, allowing the supermarkets to go into the alcohol business. I think it affected a lot of the smaller liquor stores in the state, and I think this bill would be setting a mandate that would not allow any new constructions of, Safeways or something, or Walgreens that it would.
Wait,
uh,
oh, I'm
allow
sorry.
them to have.
I have isn't that a separate bill? 1257, or I know there is one bill that they're recommending that bars be allowed to stay open an hour longer.
That's 1237.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's a separate
Oh,
bill.
this was, I probably.
Yeah, there are two separate bills.
So this was 1257 then? I think it was,
1237
was it
was the original one where they were
extending hours?
extending hours.
Okay,
But that was, I think the sheriff's organizations are against that because they said there could be jurisdictional problems if people leave one jurisdiction where it's legal and the other where it's not. So
yeah,
that one
okay.
would be, yeah, an opposed position.
And CCI did take, after a lot of discussion, they took a position of oppose.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think we were all listening to that conversation.
So I
So
think I had,
are you asking us to take a position of oppose as a board?
yeah, I think,
your
we-
request?
well, yeah, on that we should, and I was also the other one about the soft closings of the, I'm not sure if I had the right.
That is,
Was that included in this
1237
bill?
is the soft closing.
1236?
And then the
Yeah.
separate one is.
I had the wrong number down here.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about the soft closing and then.
So let's focus on 1237. So that's House Bill 25-1237, soft closing of alcohol beverage establishments. This proposal is to extend last call from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock a.m. CCI did take a opposed position. Would you like to take a position on this?
Yeah, I think we should be in opposed to this also.
Or- And do you have any?
Yeah, I agree with the opposed
All right.
position on this.
All in favor of taking an opposed position on House Bill 25-1237, say aye.
Right?
Aye.
All right, we will take an opposed position unanimously. And then you had another one? I can try to find the,
I thought it was the same one, but we were talking about the allowing newer buildings, newer establishments like Safeways or King Supers that are built after the next year. I think that they would not be allowed to sell alcohol in those. And like I said, I was opposed to the sale of liquors in grocery stores and stuff. I think it was detrimental to a lot of the smaller liquor establishments, liquor stores and stuff. So I'm not sure. I think I had the wrong number down here, so I know we discussed it at CCI.
yeah.
Anyway, if we find it, I would want to be, in favor of holding the, not allowing the new establishments being built to have liquor sales.
Great. So you don't know the bill number?
Yeah, I don't recall the,
Get out my notes.
yeah, they weren't letting any more larger box stores.
This is a bill, as I recall, let's see if I can find the number, that would allow
25033, that one.
the stores to sell liquor. Yeah.
Prohibit new liquor licensed drugstores.
Yeah.
Yes, that was.
That's
What's the
SB
number?
25033.
Find it.
Okay, thank you.
And I've asked Melanie to keep track of the board's positions on the various bills, and then she will be sharing that with the lobbyists directly.
I'm just, can you recall what position CCAT or CCI took?
I think maybe they were monetary,
It was just a monitor on that
Right.
but I would be in.
because I think there was some sales, some places were concerned, they would have some sales revenue coming from that generated.
Yeah. I know there's always a concern when large chain stores start selling wine or liquor that it'll affect the small businesses. So I agree. I don't tend to prefer them. I don't know that we would have any eligible store in our
Up here,
county.
no.
So you're more opposed to the idea of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, exactly.
Are you wanting us to take an official position or just monitor it?
I would want to, be in favor of, not allowing the big box stores to, new ones built to sell alcohol.
So I'd be supporting the bill.
Yeah, yeah, we'd be in support of speed 33.
What number did you say it
Monitor it
was?
or-
SB 25033.
3. Make sure that we're taking the right, discussing the right position. Sorry. I thought the bill was to allow it.
I have it up if you.
Was?
That's not on, it's not on this, let's say.
Did it say to allow the sale or to oppose to in new buildings, new box stores being built?
It says on or after the effective date of the bill prohibits the state and local licensing authorities from issuing a new liquor license, drugstore license.
Yeah. It-
Licensing authorities may continue to renew existing licenses.
Right, it prohibits.
So then you're suggesting that we support the
Yeah.
bill. Okay.
Senate Bill 033.
Are you willing to take a position of support or monitor? Commissioner Berman?
I don't, it doesn't seem like we have there's a nexus for our county
Yeah.
in this. So I would think to monitor at this point would be fine.
I think the border between our county and the next county over is not far. They would have drugstores perhaps. I'm fine with monitoring and we'll see. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, but we'll officially take a position of monitor. All right. Okay, so all in favor of taking an official position of monitor on Senate Bill 033?
I
Aye. Yeah.
Did you take a position on 1099? You guys mentioned that earlier.
No, because it
Yes,
was.
opposed.
Opposed to the water quality standards?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I think it was. a vote
1237, sorry.
of-
Yeah,
Yeah, 1237, we took an oppose.
I think water quality bill was.
And what number is that, Commissioner?
House Bill 251099. Water quality data reporting. And the issue was whether using the older data would be relevant. And it was require further testing procedures, and I was in favor because water quality is essential, and I think that it's important we always allow more testing. I think there was some fiscal talk about it. So I was in favor of the bill as presented.
Remember it being discussed. Again, I'm curious how it's worded so that we take the correct position. Do you have that one up? Okay.
That was I think we discussed that on Thursday. I think that was.
And did that have stricter qualities through the CDPHE
It was,
be followed?
it wasn't stricter. It was more the ability to capture up-to-date data and expand that because they talked about some of the data was from decades ago that they're still using.
Oh, I see. So it's updating.
Yeah, and just so that more testing frequency, and the idea was that it would be better data because it would be more current.
I had thought we discussed that and taken
did.
support. We did.
We didn't, but
Oh, okay.
I'm
I'm sorry. I thought we had.
Do
Yeah,
you want me to read the summary?
yeah, sure.
It says, the bill requires the Water Quality Control Commission on or before January 1, 2027 to issue written guidance specific to the development of the daily maximum amount of a pollutant from all sources that is allowed to enter state waters so that an applicable water quality standard is met. In parentheses, total maximum daily load. The bill also requires the Division of Administration in the Department of Public Health and Environment on and after January 1, 2028 to determine a total maximum daily load for state waters using credible data.
Yeah, I think a lot of the discussion was the credible data. They mentioned a study that was done by students, but it was part of a sanctioned program. But the data was from long ago, and some of the, when they do project considerations, they're looking at that data. So there was question whether that was a professional level data, such. So you're proposing that we take a support?
Yeah, I would like to take a support.
And are you in favor of that?
Yes, we can do a support on that.
All in favor of supporting House Bill 2599?
Aye.
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 All right. Did you have any other? Did you have any to bring forward?
No, because the bills I'm watching right now are still, we've already discussed, and they're at this point going through committee and all.
Right. I did want to mention a couple that we talked about before. On your list on 1088, the ambulance piece, did we just take a monitor?
That's what I had, yeah.
All right. Okay. I did have opportunity to talk to the Gilpin Ambulance Authority Deputy Director because we were in the MAC meeting side by side. And he said that they haven't taken a position, but he feels like they would favor this because of the not inability to bill ambulance users, the extra. Some other states have passed a law that they can't do that. So that can save people thousands of dollars when they get billed those. So I'm okay with monitor. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I would stay at the monitor.
Okay, we'll stay in that one. I was listening to the news. Do you have 11, or could you pull up 1108? This is one that I don't believe has come to us. In our statewide commissioner meetings, not all bills come to us, usually ones that have a county nexus. So we're deciding as counties whether we support, monitor, or oppose in case they're going to have an impact. Sometimes they have an impact on services, sometimes they have an impact on regulations, and sometimes they have an impact on budget. So county commissioners weigh in on behalf of their counties. Do you have 1108 up?
You want me to read that?
Sure.
So the title is Prohibitions in Rental Agreements Due to Death.
Right.
So it says the bill prohibits residential rental agreements from requiring acceleration of rent, liquidated damages, or other penalties, or from requiring a person to forego a sum of money that would have otherwise been refunded if the rental agreement is terminated before the end of its term due to the death of a tenant or other individual who is responsible for the payment of rent under the rental agreement.
I wanted to bring this one up because I found it really interesting that the discussion in the news was people who had their parent in a care facility and the parent died and they were being charged an early termination fee, sometimes in the thousands of dollars.
Oh, for the lease. Yeah,
Yes.
the lease was
Yeah.
an early termination.
So the alternate to doing that is that the residences and the owners of the residences could give some leeway for time to clear out the apartment. But there were several cases that were mentioned of people being told they had to pay and couldn't get out of paying thousands of dollars after the death of their family member. So is that worded in a way that we might take a support, that we would support that they could not have these fees after death? Is that how you
Well,
read it?
is that just in assisted living or is in lease?
In
leases in general?
Leases in general, yeah.
Or does it specify?
I just have the summary. So it just says concerning limitations on residential rental agreement terms in the event of the death of an individual who is responsible for the payment of rent. I don't know.
It doesn't distinguish them, not at present.
Okay.
So I might recommend to the board if to wait on this one, since it sounds like there's nuance, and then we can engage the lobbyists when they come in 2 weeks.
And see if it comes to one of our groups for discussion. Yeah.
Because that would be my one question is, at this point, we don't have any assisted living or if it's specific to those or if it's just for lease agreements in general.
And I think,
Since there's no,
yeah, I think watching it is fine. I just want to bring it to our attention. I don't think it matters if we have an assisted living in our county. It's more that we have residents who have relatives that are and could get caught in the situation, whether it be care facility or a general lease. So everyone's okay just watching, not even
monitor would
taking
be,
a official position, but just watching it as recommended. Did you want to keep an eye on it or see where it goes?
Yeah, keep an eye on it.
All right. So we'll just be watchful of it, not take a position till we have more information. Any others for today?
No.
We went through 55 bills in our county commissioners meeting. Again, only those with the nexus with the county. Sheriff Armstrong, do you have any that you would like to bring forward for us to be watchful of? I know you've had quite the list through CSOC. All right,
and that's what 55 new bills too has to be.
yes,
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question?
yes,
I think it was the last meeting you had SB 25 dash, and I think you said 0245 on the recording and it was OWTS. I don't see a bill called that, but I did find an HB 251120, that's septic system replacement enterprise.
yes.
Is
that's
that the
the-
one you
That's
want
the
to,
correct
1120,
Yeah.
yes.
that's the one you'd like to amend? Yeah,
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
your
Correct.
position, okay.
And that one passed through its first committee. And I know that I heard a adjoining county commissioner did testimony on that one too. So it's moving along. Well, we're just
Yeah.
being
And
watchful of it.
I have information out to
Okay.
one of the sponsors of that bill too, as far as some ideas for the amendments.
Mhm. Yeah. She says she's been in touch with the public health. Is he the director in Jefferson County? She said,
Um,
is he the
Jim Rada?
director? Yeah,
Yes.
he's director. Okay. She said he's been really helpful. So, all right. Any others for today? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for bringing those forward. Next on our agenda, we have the Board of County Commissioners reports and notice of public meetings. I know on, I'll just do the upcoming public meetings that I had jotted down. We have March 4th work session, 9 o'clock in this building. Then March 6th, Board of Health, 2 to 4 o'clock PM at this location. March 11th, the BOCC regular meeting. And then just a reminder that March 9th is daylight savings time. So Commissioner Berman, would you like to tell us what you've been working on?
We'd all attended the CCEDC meet and greet on the 13th, and then also the resilience workshop the morning of the 14th, where we worked with other electeds and community stakeholders. Also did legislative reports with CCI, where that's where we had the 55 new bills that were reviewed. Also, let's see, CCI steering committees, went through those, Health and Human Services, Housing, and General Government, as well as the Taxation and Finance. Attended Dr. Cog, and there again, we went through some other legislative bills that had to do mainly with transportation and received information on those. Also received an update on the COFAX project, which they're working on and will be going on through the future. Was very interesting, and how they're hoping to promote and help businesses in that area. Also had an in-depth discussion in regards to federal funding and senior programs, which are funded through DRCOG as well as other programs that'll come down through the county. Of course, everyone's keeping an eye on the funding, what's being frozen or what has been froze. And there were funds that were supposed to be released having to do with Medicare that as of yet have not been fully released. So they're concerned about some repercussions from that, as well as also with Medicaid. So they were asking counties to keep an eye on that and to see what we'll have to do as far as our budgeting. And DRCOG does have some funding that they feel at this point they'll be, for their senior programs, fine for at least the foreseeable future, 6 to 9 months. But after that time, they will be looking at maybe cutting programs or reallocating some monies.
All right. Commissioner Aiken?
Well, on the 11th, we had a Zoom meeting with Senator Hickenlooper concerning the possible transfer of the Colorado Space Command, Alabama, which was, it could be detrimental to a lot of jobs in Colorado Springs. He was asking for support on opposing this. We also went to the radon testing seminar at the library, and which was really interesting. I would recommend everybody get their radon. I found out a lot about the radon. It's everywhere. Everybody has it in their property pretty much. And so it is the second leading cause of lung cancer in this country. And we also had a subject discussion at the library. Met with the county manager. 12th, we had a UCCWA Zoom on the 13th and a CCAT meeting on the 11:30 on the 13th. We had a Teller House meet and greet with the Clear Creek, the CC Economic Development. And there was a breakfast the next morning and a work session. And then we had a work session here on the 18th, and I attended the watershed fire department mitigation thing at the Chief Hosa seminar there on the 19th, which was interesting. 20th, and we're down at the steering committees. We had a meet and greet that night at the Colorado History Museum, and got to talk with our Secretary of Treasury Young, and some interesting discussions. We had a breakfast with CCAT on the 21st at the Capitol building, and then we had our steering committee. And so that's about what we've been doing, I've been doing.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you. And I have on my list all the aforementioned CCAT, CCI, 2 days in a row, CCAT subcommittees, the legislative breakfast, and those are really great. They're only doing once a session, but we can talk to our legislators and meet new legislators that sometimes we're in the process of discussing their bill, so it's kind of nice to talk to them about their bill and what they're hoping for an outcome. And then I also attended the Radon Well and Septic Committee meeting, and it was really very well attended and very, very informative. And they're planning to do those again if you didn't make it. The only other thing I did attend Chip Smith's memorial held at the school, and it was very touching, contributed a lot to our community. There was a lot of singing in that memorial. And then the opioid council, we met to adopt some standard operating procedures, and the applications are open through March for that. For some of the funding, Um, That is that. Any other public meetings to add?
No, just also clarification with Senator Hickenlooper that not only their jobs in Colorado Springs, but here in Denver, because their Space Command is in Denver here. So that's something that they're talking about moving, but they are getting working a lot with other senators here in the western states and as well as colleges to advocate for it staying here.
Yes, and he did point out that moving it would cost 2 billion. Was it 2 billion or 4 billion?
4 billion.
$4 billion if they move it from Colorado to Alabama, and it would not take all the supportive entities that are now in Colorado. And the Space Command is fully operational at this point in Colorado. So every county commissioner on that call wanted to stay in Colorado for all the reasons outlined. All right, so next on our agenda, we do have an executive session scheduled. We also have the work session in 45 minutes. Do you think we have time to do the executive session before 11:30? It might take longer.
I think we can go ahead and
Okay, well,
let's make it our goal. So I'll move that we adjourn to executive session for discussion of personnel matter under CRS 24-6-4024 FL. Personal matters except if the employee who is subject of the session has requested an open meeting, or if the personnel matter involves more than one employee, all of the employees have requested an open meeting.
and it's my understanding the employee has not requested an open meeting, correct?
Mhm.
All right, who's second? Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourning to executive session at 10:48. Then we'll be back around 11:30 for our work session.